Voters is a nonpartisan organization. We put an emphasis on voting. We do not endorse candidates or political parties. This evening, we will give you an opportunity to gather information about two of the candidates for County Legislator District 3 and Glenville Town Board to help you make your voting decision. All of the candidates who will be on the ballot have been invited to tonight's forum. However, the League's policy is that candidates running for an office unopposed cannot take part in the formal part of the forum. Julie Davenport is running for Glenville Town Clerk unopposed. Ms. Davenport, please stand. Thank you. Also, Brian De La Fleur is running for Glenville Town Justice unopposed. Mr. De La Fleur, would you please stand? Thank you. We have allowed time at the end of the forum for Ms. Davenport and Mr. De La Fleur to speak individually to those who are attending. These candidates serving our community and participating in the democratic process by their willingness to run for office. And we have some ground rules. We ask that no campaign signs, swag, or literature be visible or distributed in this room. There is a table for campaign literature outside the room. There is also information about the League of Women Voters. Please take a look. Please join us. No recording or pictures are allowed unless authorized by the League. Any use of the authorized recording requires advanced approval of the League of Women Voters. And please silence your phones. That was close. I had forgotten to silence mine. You are welcome to submit written questions on the cards that have been distributed. Please indicate the office for whom the questions are directed. The questions should be suitable for all the candidates for that office to answer. Please hold up your cards and an usher will collect them throughout the forum. Questions will be screened, and questions that are unclear, hostile, or of a personal nature will not be used. Questions that fall in the same general area will be consolidated. There's often not enough time to cover all the issues. And please feel free to contact the candidates directly for more information. For each office, candidates will have a 2-minute opening statement, 1 minute to answer each question, and 1 minute closing statement. We have timers who will hold up a yellow card when there are 30 seconds left. Demonstration? And the red card when it's time for the candidates to stop. Oftentimes, during the questioning time of the forum, the order of the candidates will be varied. After each statement or question, please hold your applause till all the candidates have spoken. And we ask the candidates, when they see the yellow card, remember you have 30 seconds. And when you see the red card, to wind up your question, your answer, quickly. And I have a new toy to play with, which will remind me you are running over time. I love the power. So, we will start with candidate Michelle Osterlich.
Thank you so much. I'm Michelle Osterlich. I'm honored and privileged to have been a county legislator for the past 4 years. I first want to thank the League of Women Voters for holding these forums every single election year, which is every year. It's invaluable for voters to get to know us. And thank you all for coming. Having you here interested in these elections, local elections, I'm truly grateful. So I moved to this area about 18 years ago, and we had a little girl about a year old, and we immediately became enmeshed in this very welcoming, warm community We have found our neighbors to be very involved themselves, many transplants, but also folks who have grown up here, moved back to raise their own families. And I joined lots of organizations. I've been president of our PTO, of a community center, of community foundation, and Ellis Hospital Foundation. And I entered politics just about 5 years ago. This I see as another way to give back to our community. We now have 2 teenage daughters, and we have just absolutely been grateful to raise them in this community and hope that they follow in our footsteps in getting involved and serving others. As a county legislator and chair of the Health, Housing, and Human Services Committee in particular, I feel like I have brought a lot to Ledge, and tonight I hope to share that with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Osterlich. Mr. Simon.
Thank you. Thank you, the League of Women Voters here, and my name is Anthony Simone, and I lived in Schenectady all my life. I was born in Schenectady, and I live in this unit presently for about 28 years, and I've been in Schenectady County all my life. I worked for the Gold Corporation for 42 years. I've been in management for 38 years. I was a store manager here in Glenville, Albany, Westgate, Delaware Avenue, many of the Price Chopper units. I managed 300-400 people at a time. I was on many task force for the Gold Corporation. Just a little bit, I retired at about 60 years old, and so I went into a family business, which is called Sanavi. It's S-A-N-A-V-I. I've been doing that for about 8 years. We finally hit 6 supermarket chains with the organic sparkling spring water. That's something I've been working on with the family. We have a warehouse here in Schenectady. It's bottled in Schenectady County at Adirondack. I'm also an energy consultant for gas and electric for large commercial companies. I've been doing that for 10 years. I'm on the board for the Residence Center for the YMCA. I'm a chair for the Residence Center, which houses about 156 units, and Residence Center in Mount Pleasant. It's about 47 veterans in there. Did you realize there's 300 homeless people in Schenectady County that's on the list? So I've been working on that for 10 years. I got the President's Award for working hard with the YMCA, and it's, a volunteer. So I got 20 seconds to go. I'm married for over 40 years. I got 3 boys, Anthony, Matthew, and Aaron. My son Anthony works for Craftco. Stop.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Questions. And we will begin the questioning with Mr. Simon. What are the 3 biggest issues we face here in Glenville and Scotia?
I would say, from what I noticed, is some of the speeding traffic areas, some of the bridge trucks hitting the bridges. Are the trucks still hitting the bridges? That's a large issue, I think, that's very noticeable in the county. I'm not sure about anything else right now, but that would come to mind. But I know that I've been taking a look at the bridges, and I've come up with several ideas. And I don't know if Chris has any ideas, but I know that other parts of the country have similar issues, and I've looked at that. So I think that we can solve that problem, hopefully, and I can present that to the county ledge.
Thank you. Ms. Osterlich.
Thank you. Having talked to a lot of residents, especially over the last 4 years, I would say public safety is a really big concern. So is having the resources to take care of the people that you love, and a quality of life. I think those are probably the 3 main things when I speak with residents. Parts of those, that those are broad topics, but those are the topics that come up. Public safety, of course, I suspect we'll get into a little bit further. As for our quality of life, as chair of the Health, Housing, and Human Services Committee, I hope to speak more about that and what the legislature has done to improve our quality of life up here, and also make sure that our families have the resources to take care of their kids, their parents, and everything in between. Thanks.
Thank you. And this question goes to Ms. Osterlich first. Does the county keep us safe? What are your legislative priorities for public safety?
That worked out really well. Yes, it is a priority, certainly. Public safety is probably one of the number one things that government is charged to do, take care of public safety. And to me, public safety is really about supporting our first responders. That's fire, EMS, as well as our police forces. And what we've done at the county level is a lot of unification. We have the UCC, which is now a single dispatch center, a single radio system to make sure that everyone can communicate and be safe so that they know they have backup when they need it. We've also created street crimes task forces, drug task forces with our sheriff's office, so that our departments are all working together across borders. And we've been able to support especially our volunteer fire departments because we know that they're struggling. So this year they've gotten $20,000 each to use for equipment or training, and of course the property tax credit, which many municipalities are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Simon,
Can you repeat the question?
does the county keep us safe? What are your legislative priorities for public safety?
I would say right now that, a task force with the police department indicating some of the major issues that we're having in this particular town. I would also say that the police department, getting the community involved with the police department and letting them know that the community really is supporting the police department. I would say that would be one of the things I would work on, bringing the groups together and talking to the residents and seeing if they're really feeling safe in their communities. We all have Ring doorbells and we get a lot of messages on the Ring doorbells, and they're 2 to 3 or 4 miles away from your home. But is there a lot of theft, and is there things that the residents are concerned about? And I would bring those issues up to the task force, that we would have this special committee, and I would also be on that committee and help the county.
Thank you. And Mr. Simone, you can start with the next question. Walking and biking in Glenville is dangerous. Do you have a plan to protect pedestrians and bicycle riders?
I would say I don't have a plan because I'm not on the board right now, I'm not on the committee, but I would have a plan. I would put something together. Like, I'm not on the county ledge, I'm not sure if they developed a plan, but I would get, if there's any safe available land for bike paths, like we did in this unit, they developed a lot of bike paths along the river, and they work very well for the community. There's a lot of safe crossings for those bike paths. The community really enjoys those areas. In Glenville, it's probably not safe in some of these roads to walk or ride. I see a lot of people walking on the narrow paths on the road when you only have like 2 feet on each side with the white lines. And I would suggest that that's not really safe, and I would suggest that that shouldn't be allowed to do that. But I would work on whatever's available in the town to bring in some bike paths and maybe increase something along the river.
Ms. Osterlich.
Thank you. First and foremost is working with complete streets committees and school districts to make sure that kids are safe walking to school, and that we are not the decision makers, but in fact supporting local efforts in making our streets walkable and safe. It's obviously in the news a lot. Bridges are being hit almost constantly, and if you've noticed, drivers are distracted and angrier and more aggressive than I think before the pandemic. So a lot of it is enforcement, but also engineering solutions. So for example, after 10 years of a really long process, LPLOS now has a sidewalk because it's unsafe, especially when the bridge is hit and traffic on LPLOS Ave gets more congested. Folks are impatient and not aware of the pedestrians that walk that walk anyway, but now they have a safe sidewalk to do it at the cost, at the budget of the county, and we're pleased to have done that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Again, with Ms. Osterlich. Inflation is a big struggle for families and seniors. How does the county help when the cost of living is too, expletive deleted, high?
Oh, wow. Okay then. Yes, our families are absolutely getting crunched right now. Not only is inflation high, but housing prices, everything from groceries to gas, are high. In our area, we've seen increased SNAP applications manyfold. We've seen lines at our food pantries grow and grow. So families are really struggling. Acknowledging that is super important. I've done a lot personally, like volunteering over at the food pantry, the pop-up food pantry in Scotia and Glenville. But the county ledge, I've also supported things like a tax rebate coming out this year for STAR-eligible homeowners, especially useful for seniors. We've averaged a 0% property tax increase. That's pretty extraordinary. Shepherding taxed, hard-earned tax dollars is our fiduciary duty, and I take that very seriously. We've also done lots of CASA. It's okay, I'm over. Thanks.
Mr. Simone, inflation is a big struggle for families and seniors.
Well, inflation is definitely a huge problem for seniors, especially on fixed incomes. Like my parents are 95 and 88, and I do take care of them at home, and they are still home. And when you get towards the end of the month, you really have to stretch the dollars, or the family has to pitch in to make sure they have enough food in the house. And so, you know, you can go to Price Chopper, or you can go to ShopRite, and you can save $7 on this item or that item. But I think what really needs to happen is, 30 seconds. What I think really needs to happen in this inflation is that if we can reduce some of the expenses for the seniors, like letting them know, bring in some consultants and some of the people that would come in and reduce some of their normal expenses that they don't know about, which I did for my parents. And you could save on a lot of different items, and there's a lot of different services that the seniors don't know about. That's one thing that's on my card. That's one thing I would like to work on. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will start with you, Mr. Simone. When presented with the recent asylum seeker issue, how would you tackle the issue to ensure the best outcome for your community?
That's a great question. I would say that the migrants or the illegal migrants that are here coming into New York or into Rotterdam, and we know that they're coming to Schenectady County because they're here already. We know there's more coming. We know the National Guard is out in New York City. My father came from Italy when he was 27, and he came over and he had a sponsor. He had clothes, he had a place to live, and he was supported by the family. That's a legal way of bringing someone in from another country. The way the migrants are coming in today, I pretty much would call them illegal, and I know there's a big talk about that in Congress today. They might shut down the government today because they want to stop the migrants from coming. We may see that here in Glenville. You may see school taxes go up if they end up in the schools. Like Rotterdam has to have 70 kids go into their schools, and they're looking at a $3 million increase or some type of increase in taxes. So we can save as much as we want to save, but somebody has to pay this bill.
Thank you. Ms. Osterlich, when presented with the recent asylum seeker issue, How would you tackle the issue to ensure the best outcome for your community?
I think it's important to start by saying that the folks over at the Super 8 did everything required of them. They entered our country according to our laws. They followed our laws. So when they seek asylum, they are here, right? I believe in addressing issues as they come. Every resident I talk to them what concerns them, right? Where we are. I'm not going to make up some hypothetical. They're here now, and what I have seen is our public health department make sure that kids are school ready. I've seen tuberculosis, TB testing, making sure that there's no communicable diseases being brought into our community. I've seen volunteer agencies and volunteers bring them food and clothing and essential items. That's something that neighborly folks do. That's what I found when I came here. So I think we can address that more later.
Thank
because
you.
I'm over time again.
Ms. Ostolich, the next question goes to you. What more can the county legislature do to increase energy transition to renewable energy sources?
So our county is actually, we achieved a Bronze Star rating, which is pretty extraordinary, and we're reaching towards the silver now. We're applying right now for that. And we've taken a lot of measures. One is certainly changing over to LED lights, doing our solar consortium so that we're now able to run all of our municipal buildings and our county buildings on solar energy, renewable energy, which is extraordinary. But, there's still a long way to go. So it's also working with our transfer stations and recycling, making sure our hazardous waste is taken care of and residents know how to dispose of that stuff properly. We've now gone pesticide-free in our libraries where kids play. It's important for their health. And certainly, it's always important to keep shepherding our environment. Things like having electric vehicle recharging stations readily available so that the infrastructure is built out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Simone, what more can the county legislature do to increase energy transition to renewable energy sources?
Well, some of my background is in energy. I was on the task force with the company I work for. So you got, in the residence, in the town, you got gas and electric, you got solar, and most of the residents can save 10% or 5 to 10% on their electric bill at home if they get all their energy from a solar farm. The other thing is that educate everybody to save electricity in their homes and drop the kilowatt use. Number one, when you went from 2 years ago to this year and your national grid bill doubled or tripled, you went from $150 to $300. You're saying why? Well, the electric part of that bill went from 3 to 4 cents a kilowatt to 14 cents. And today it's running around 11 cents a kilowatt. So these you need to understand what it costs to use a kilowatt. You need to understand where you can save it, and you need to understand the demand of the time of day that you're using your energy. So there's a certain time, twice a year, that they come in and measure your demand. And that's how your price is set. Your meter is read once a month.
Thank you. And we will begin with you with the next question. New York State passed and signed into legislation several bills to make it easier to vote in New York State. One bill will allow early voting by absentee, and another creates a day for same-day registration and voting as part of the early voting process. All the bills have withstood legal challenges in other states. Are you for or against the expanded voting bills, and why? And we're starting with you, Mr. Simon. Yes.
I'm for early voting. On every one of my posts and some of my signs I put and advertise early voting. I want the public to know when to vote, how early they can come out and vote. I'm in favor of, October 28th to November 5th, you can come out and vote. On November 7th, you can vote. On November 6th, you can't vote. So I'm in favor of anything like that that's organized and controlled. And so basically, I'm in favor of it, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Osterlich?
I think the new group of voting laws are actually really, really important because our democracy depends on engagement and people voting, and we're better off if more people vote. That's the bottom line. I have had lots of conversations with our Commissioner of Elections, and I think we can all be very confident in our system. It is secure and safe, and with that being said, early voting is incredibly important. Our lives, I think everyone's lives right now are so full and full of obligations, whether they're work or care obligations. Carving out one day isn't always practical. So I'm grateful that we went to early voting. I'm grateful that we now have no excuse required mail-in voting. It's about time. It's modernization, and I think it's a good thing.
Thank you. And we'll begin the next question with you, Ms. Osterlich. How many vehicles does the county own, have, and are electric?
We do have a handful of electric vehicles. I don't know how many total vehicles we have between our highway department and other departments, but it is a move that's important, and we are growing that fleet, but a lot of it comes down to incentives that help from the state and grants, and so that is just really a moving target, but it is certainly where we need to move towards.
Thank you. Mr. Simone?
Well, I'm not on the county ledge, so I'm not sure, but I do see electric vehicles that the town has, and I do see electric charging stations, which is very good and saving some fuel for the town and the city and the county. But the one thing that people need to understand is that when you buy an electric vehicle, and I did this by accident, I watched somebody charge their vehicle at a Walmart in Albany parking lot, and I went up to the meter and I looked at the price that they were paying per kilowatt, and it was 48 cents. So, and I said, geez, you're paying 48 cents a kilowatt to charge your car for the half an hour? And I said, how much is that? And it was like over $30 or $40. He said, no, it's free. For the first 2 years that I bought my car, it was free. I said, so the next 2 years or 4, you're going to be paying. So some of these charging stations are double what you pay at home, just to let you know that.
Thank you. And the next question, we will begin with you, Mr. Simone. Why do you believe you are most qualified for this position?
Well, I'm very innovative. I come up with many ideas for the Gulf Corporation when I was there. I really feel that I can make a difference. I always come up with solutions for anything that comes up as an issue or a problem. I've never held office. I've held positions. So this is my first opportunity to serve the community, which I do. I serve the community. I've been serving on 2 boards, non-profit boards with the YMCA. So I think that I would be more involved, and now that I have more time, I will dedicate myself to any issue that comes up and solve it.
Thank you. Ms. Osterlich, why do you believe you are most qualified for this position?
I think it's just my background in being very curious. And that comes to when I talk with residents. I'm curious about their concerns, their issues, what trouble they're having navigating government. And I really do, I think it's important to know where people are coming from, not just the present question at hand, right? So it's making sure you really understand what people are, how people are, how they tick. But also, I ask a lot of questions on the legislature. I ask a lot of questions of staff. I ask a lot of questions of our county manager. And I'll ask a lot of questions from my colleagues. The folks that are on the ledge are extraordinary. I happen to be very impressed and enjoy my colleagues a lot because they come from different backgrounds, different expertise, and there's always somebody I can go to, so a resource just within the folks that are on the legislature. So I would say I'm really good about getting lots of information and getting a path towards good policy.
Thank you. Ms. Ostolich, we'll start the next question with you. If COVID restrictions become local decisions, what would your proposition be?
I think that this is just a mirror of what I experienced watching our public health department go through during the heat of the pandemic. It is following the science, which is evolving, and certainly communicating it to the public and dispelling disinformation. I think that is probably the biggest role that government can take when it comes to the pandemic and keeping folks safe. I have witnessed vaccines to be effective in keeping people out of the hospital and alive. And I do think that we did an extraordinary job. When it was state-run in the beginning and trying to get appointments, it was a madhouse. But when it went to the local level and our Department of Public Health was able to lead the charge locally, I think we did really, really well.
Thank you. Mr. Simone,
Could you read that one more time? Sorry.
if COVID restrictions become local decisions, what would your proposition be? I think maybe they mean, what would your position mean?
Probably, yeah, that's right. Well, my position is that, we really need to be educated on vaccines because there's so much misleading information about it. And we all have a personal doctor that we go to, and I really think that you take your personal situation, your age, your conditions, if you blood clots or similar things like that, then you need to get your physician's permission to get the vaccine. I don't think that the government should personally mandate vaccines, that, everybody should have a vaccine and people lose their jobs over not getting a vaccine. I think my personal position would be to listen to your physician, like I did. So my physician told me what to do when it came to the vaccine. My wife had a different opinion about the vaccine. My son had a different opinion. I have two sons. They both had different opinions about the vaccine during the pandemic. Today, it's a little bit different. There's a lot of different feelings about the vaccine that's out there today. Everybody has a choice, and everybody should make their own choice on that. Thank you.
I'm going to squeeze in one more question. Mr. Simone will be the first person to get it. Foster care has exceedingly increased in Schenectady County. What would you suggest to help adoptive and foster families?
I would first look into the numbers that's needed to be taken care of, and I would also see if there's any funding or any agencies through the government that would be able to help that foster care situation. I'm not sure what the numbers are, but I'm sure that there's agencies out there that would be able to help, and we need to get those agencies to the table to communicate the funding that's needed for foster care, the parents that are interested in foster care. Maybe there's groups out there that would want to be involved in that type of situation. That's what I would do, is get the information and communicate it.
Thank you. Ms. Osterlich.
I got it. So yes, there is a great need for foster homes. If anyone out there is thinking of it, we have our DSS department often runs open houses, so you can talk with existing foster parents and get their take on it, their experience, and it changes lives. I don't have to tell you that. You already know that. But it is a role of government is to make sure that our kids have have homes. And so we are always looking. It is a problem right now. Getting the word out is important, so often our DSS employees are tabling at green markets and trying to get the word out that way. Even on social media, they've started to promote childcare options through social media and may do so through looking for foster homes as well. But it's a really special gift to be able to give a home to a child in need. So please consider it.
Thank you. We will now go to your closing statements. And Ms. Osterlich, we will begin with you. And again, it's a 1-minute closing statement.
I missed that last time. I kept going on and on. So yes, I hope that you've learned a little bit about me and what I bring to the county legislature. And if you have any questions at all, I have a website, michelleforschenectadycounty.com. I'm also on Facebook. And you can just scroll up and down my Facebook feed and see a little bit more about what I've done and the important things that I choose to communicate that I think are priorities and helpful. And I hope that I've earned your confidence tonight, and I hope that come November 7th that you'll vote for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Simone.
Thank you for being here and giving me the opportunity to present some of the things that I care about. I just want to say that on October 28th, you can vote for me. So, but I just want to touch base on some of my family that, we raised in the county, my 3 boys, and, they all been very successful, and I'm very proud of my boys. One's an attorney, just became partner in a law firm. So I think my wife did a great job raising the boys, and I think family values are very important. Community service is very important. Those are the kind of things that I want to do for the elderly and for the families. I want to work towards bringing that back, and I really appreciate meeting all of you. And again, I have my cell numbers on one of my cards, and there's more information on here, and I thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. I have a grid by which I will follow who gets called on. It won't be as simple as the last 2 candidates. But we will rotate through all of you. We will all have a chance to be the first person, and we will all have a chance to be the last person. And we will begin with 2-minute opening statement with Mr. Aragosa.
Good evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for organizing this event. Thank you to the town of Glenville for hosting us, and thank you all for being here. I'm Michael Aragosa, Democratic candidate for Glenville Town Council. With my bride of 32 years, Maggie, we raised 3 children in this town, which we moved to shortly after our wedding. Glenville has so much to offer: great schools, sports clubs, restaurants, and shops. I'm seeking to return to town council after 2 years on the sideline. I think it is important that our town board reflect the actual political makeup of its residents. Since the pandemic hit, I have been spent countless hours helping with feeding residents of Schenectady County and our town. I'm retired, semi-retired businessman. My family owned a hardware business in Schenectady for 45 years. I now operate a small handyman business, and I do a lot of volunteer work for different organizations. Looking forward to this upcoming election and hoping to get my seat back in this chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Barone.
Hi, my name is Amanda Barone, and I'm running to keep my seat on the Glenville Town Board. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity and my fellow candidates for participating. I'm not a politician. The reason I serve is that I love making our community better. I've been a lifelong resident of our community. I've seen the ups and downs. I've seen the town go from a rundown community with decaying commercial corridors, rising taxes, and a diminishing fund balance to the thriving community it is today. Economically strong, investing in small businesses, parks, walkways, and connectivity, and the lowest tax municipality in the county, all while keeping our quality of life high. I want to continue that trend forward as we face a changing social and economic climate. Again, I'm not a politician, and more importantly, I am not affiliated with any political party. As such, I carry an impartial view with each issue. I listen to our residents, and I do what's in the best interest of our community, party politics aside. I'm also a small business owner in the town. I will continue to support responsible economic development in Glenville with the interests of the small business owner in mind. I also carry my business mindset into managing the budget. The town is just like a large business, and it's a matter of balancing excellent service with affordable costs. Finally, I'm a Scotia resident, and more than ever with what I've seen on my tenure on the board, it is vital that we have a Scotia resident on this board. A thriving partnership between the town and the village is critical for both of us. In my time on the board, we've solidified an important water deal with the village. We've locked in the District 4 fire contract with Scotia. We've extended Glenville's small business programs to the village. And we've continued to build a positive relationship with the village, something that was nearly impossible in the years prior. The village and the town are interconnected, and I look forward to continuing to nurture our partnership for mutual benefit. With my combination of experience and independent perspectives driven by the needs and wants of my neighbors, I will continue to ensure that Glenville is a wonderful place to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kirkham. Mr. Kirkham.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Kirkham. I would first like to take this opportunity to thank the League of Women Voters for organizing this forum. I would also like to thank each and every one of you who are participating this evening. This is truly democracy at its best. I would like to tell you a little bit about myself and why I desire to serve this community. I've been married to Wendy for 38 years. We have 2 children, and we also have 5 grandchildren. We call this place home. We chose Scotia Glenville. Scotia Glenville did not choose us. Now, not only my wife and I, but my children are also residents, business owners in this community we call home. My vocational experience gives me a unique perspective as one that is needed to serve as an elected town board member. I am a retired Town of Glenville Department of Public Works frontline worker who provided essential services to the public for 27 years. As a frontline worker, I have a firsthand understanding of the infrastructure needs and how to deliver them to this town. I served as union president, and I have participated in many labor management discussions. I understand the importance of working collectively, not only to serve the employees, but I recognize the fiscal responsibility I had to the community we serve. So when I was asked to serve on the Glenville Town Board, it was a clear choice for me. My experience, commitment, and desire will continue to make Glenville a vibrant community for generations to come. This is why I am the right person to continue leading this community progress forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kirkham. Mrs. Santiago.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. My name is Kari Santiago. I was born in Fort Lewis, Washington. I'm an Army brat who has lived overseas, across the Midwest, and last post at West Point before my father retired after 23 years. I then moved over the mountain to another gem of the Hudson Valley, to Cornwall on Hudson, a village that reminds me a lot of Scotia. 18 years ago, this is where I met my husband, Jesus, a veteran as well. After a job offer fell through that would move us up to the Capital District, we decided to take the leap and go ahead and move. In 2016, we bought our house here in Scotia. Here we have thrived, my husband now the director of Schenectady County Veterans Service Agency, and me as an administrator in a successful commercial construction company. In 2017, I answered the plea for volunteers for the Village Special Events Committee, and when the chair stepped down after our last event of 2019, she asked me to take a position as she knew I'd be left in good hands. Village Special Events Committee plans and hosts the annual holiday on the Ave and Cruisin' on the Ave. In 2020, when faced with COVID and unable to host our traditional events, I organized a holiday village parade. In 2022, the Scotia Glenville Memorial Day Parade Committee leadership had to step down. So without hesitation, I expanded our event influence. Earlier this year, I was also awarded the Elks Distinguished Citizenship Award. Working with my Irving Road neighbors, we held our second annual block party this summer. Then this seemed to have started a trend for some other village neighbors. Our youngest daughter, Gabrielle, is a junior at Scotia Glenville High School. She's aspiring to be a teacher and is attending the early childhood education program at VOTEC BOCES in Albany. I'm a stepmother to Jocelyn and Megan, whom live in Pennsylvania, and are both working and continuing their education.
Thank you. Mr. Simone.
League of Women Voters is a wonderful organization dedicated to democracy. Thank you for bringing us all here today. I am the son of Joseph Weiss, who got out of Nazi Germany at age 15 in 1937 and then fought fascism as a U.S. Navy sailor. His father is Albert Gerke. My name is Kurt Simone. We all have an immigrant story, and all our stories have led us to this wonderful town. Margaret is my wife of 30 years. We have 2 children, Thomas, a Navy officer, and Samuel, a college student and soldier with the Army National Guard here in Glenville. I'm a BHBL high school teacher with previous heavy industry experience. I'm a veteran, having served 9 years in as a U.S. Navy submariner. I received several letters of commendation for my get-the-job-done attitude and for exceptional skill and resourcefulness. I'm a graduate of U.S. Navy's nuclear power program. I earned an Associate in Science, a Bachelor's in History, a Master's in History, and a Master's in Teaching. I'm an enthusiastic volunteer. I provided well over 1,600 hours of free service to the town with the Environmental Conservation Commission and the Planning and Zoning Commission, directly involving myself in every development project since 2007. I do this because I love this town. I am the VFW Post 4660 and American Legion Post 1870 Vice Commander. I administer the VFW Student Scholarship and the American Legion's Boys and Girls State Civics programs. I do this because I love this town. I'm on the board of directors for the Capital Region's Veterans Memorial, the Legacy Project. We are creating a Veterans Memorial, Cafe, Museum, and Service Outreach Center and Park. We are partnering with the town to make this a reality. I do this because I love this town. I'm running for the town council because I believe I have experience, expertise, passion, work ethic, integrity, objectivity, perseverance to make a positive difference. I'm seeking this position of trust because I love this town.
Thank you, Mr. Simone. And we will begin now with our questions, beginning with Mrs. Barone. What are important issues facing the Glenville Town Board, and how would you resolve these?
Yep, so I'll try to keep it short, but the biggest challenge that we have is keeping our taxes affordable under state tax cap and under the state tax cap, despite state mandates, inflation, rising costs of goods and services. It's difficult to not feel that pinch, especially when prices go up, and under state mandates, we are required to, they raise prices of important things, or they raise our costs, such as health insurance for our municipal workers, such as makeups of the products we use to salt the roadways. And these things are always a struggle to maintain an affordable budget for our residents. But we have maintained under the state tax cap, and we want to do that going forward. But I would say that is our biggest struggle, is to keep taxes affordable for our residents despite these increases.
Thank you, Mrs. Barone. Mr. Kirkland.
Can you repeat
Yes.
the question, please?
What are important issues facing the Glenville Town Board? How would you resolve these?
Yeah, so I would quantify this as there's probably some large issues. The largest is probably the unfunded mandates that Amanda just spoke about from a state level. And certainly I have firsthand experience in this area because I worked for the Highway Department for 27 years. Sweeping the roads is a mandate. The state mandates that we sweep X miles of roads each year, and they don't pay for our equipment, they don't pay for the gasoline, they don't pay for those things. Salt is another one. MS4, which is sewer water and runoff water that we have to deal with, they don't fund that as well. So certainly balancing the budget and meeting those needs are definitely some of the bigger challenges.
Thank you. Mr. Simon,
Oh, okay.
you're up.
Well, in addition to the unfunded mandates, which I think has already been hammered out here pretty well, I think some of our challenges in the future would include moving forward with Scotia and developing a very positive working relationship. Another challenge this town board was going to have, we saw in the news recently, is water. We now have PFAS, I think it's called, right? And the town is being proactive and is looking into securing our water source, looking into protecting our source. They even hired an attorney, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things in the future.
Thank you. Mrs. Santiago, sorry, I jumped out of
That's
order.
why I was a little sorry.
Yes. Oops, I did something.
And I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Yes. What are important issues facing the Glenville Town Board? How would you resolve them?
No, I guess to go along with getting Scotia and Glenville to work together better, better representation that can work hand in hand, not necessarily battle with each other. I'm sorry, I don't have too much more to say.
All right, no problem, thank you. Mr. Aragosa?
So one of the biggest issues we have in town is with first responders, where kind of, every time you go by a fire station, they're begging for more help. And I think that's an important issue that the town needs to try to work with the fire departments and see what we can do to help them find that help and make our plans, keep our plans, or get a plan to move that along. I know there's the mutual aid agreements throughout the town do help with all that, but it's stressed on all the departments, so we could work with those. Again, in my time on the board, the budget was always a contentious issue. It's tough to keep it, to get the service, I'm sorry. That sounds.
Thank you, Mr. Aragosa. We'll begin the next round of answers with Mr. Kirkham. Where do you see opportunity for Glenville and Scotia to share increased services?
Well, again, I will just say that I was firsthand experienced that when I was a highway employee. There was certainly shared equipment that we would do. So the equipment sharing was one that definitely took place. I do remember a time when we actually would go and we did some patching and paving for the village as well. We've also worked collaboratively with the jetter to unclog sewer lines and things of that nature. So this effort has already taken place. The thing that has been presented that there's really zero cooperation is probably not exactly true. There has been cooperation. Now the cooperation has been extremely enhanced, and we've fostered some very good deals, like the Fire District 4 deal and the water deal as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kirkham. Mrs. Santiago. Where do you see opportunity for Glenville and Scotia to share increased services?
Well, I think that's something that the running for the town council and anybody who's elected would share in taking on. I'm sorry.
Do you want to take a sip of water?
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm just a little overwhelmed here.
Okay, do you want to pass?
Just have
Yes.
fun.
Okay,
You're good.
all right. Take a breath. Mr. Simon.
Well, I I think over the last 5 years, Glenville and Scotia have been working at a partnership, as Mr. Kirkland was saying. A lot of it's informal, and may get more formal over time. But where I would take it, I take it anywhere Scotia wants to take us. I'm very happy to welcome with open arms all the suggestions that come out of the village, because that's really where it must start. And that's be my approach, just the open door. Where can we in the village work closer together in addition to, road repairs, etc., and move from there. It's really about Scotia leading us the way, and we will follow.
Thank you. Mr. Aragosa?
Well, the sentiment is pretty much the same. We have been working together as a town and a village over the years. Can it be better? Sure. But contrary to Mr. Simone, I don't think it's up to either one or the other to lead. I think we have to work together and sit down and meet together and to do the people's work. It's not us waiting for them or them waiting for us. We need to get together and get to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Barone?
Yes, I just wanted to say that this is already happening, and we have made tremendous strides this year. From what I've seen in Scotia, since Mayor Bucciferro has taken office, there's been a significant effort to form a strong long-term partnership between the town and the village. And the momentum we've had is incredible. I talked about the water agreement, which secures affordable service to some Glenville residents while also creating reliable income stream with the village, which is sorely needed for the financial state that it's in right now. The extension of Glenville small business grants to Scotia businesses, so that they can be included in those opportunities as well. And the negotiation of the District 4 contract with the Scotia Fire Department. I mean, the progress that we've made this year is incredible and encouraging, and I'm proud to continue building upon what we've done in just the short time that I've been in office, and we've gotten this stuff done.
Thank you, Mrs. Barone. Okay, next question, and we'll begin with Mrs. Santiago. What are your priorities for public safety and school safety?
Well, whenever you talk about public safety, I think it's important to be able to provide the departments with the proper tools that they need and proper training that they need to continue serving the community. And, I think it's important to have the presence of police or someone similar at the schools. I know I feel safer having somebody there monitoring who's around the school properties while my daughter's there, so.
Thank you. Mr. Simone?
Priorities of public safety and school safety. Well, first and foremost, we have to make sure we have ample funding for our manning and our training of our police departments as well as our highway departments. We need to make sure that our volunteer fire departments are all well funded and trained. We also need to make sure we coordinate with the school districts, with the school resource officers. Glenville provides the Burn Hills School District with a police officer as well as Saratoga County. There should be coordinated training between the school districts and law enforcement in the event there is any issue into the future. And that's about it.
Thank you. Mr. Aragosa?
So continuing to do studies throughout the town on traffic safety, speeding. I know we do that quite a lot. We need to continue that funding and make sure that it's there. We need to continue to look at roads and decide whether the speed limit's too high or too low, and that kind of thing. We certainly have to continue to fund the police department and the first responders properly. I believe that we should probably be looking into what it would take to make the first responders, make the calls response quicker and the timing better. Mohawk Ambulance in with getting people the help that they need when they need it.
Thank you. Mrs. Barone?
So public safety is one that, I see firsthand on the Traffic Safety Committee. And, as Mr. Aragos has said, we do monitor the traffic conditions regularly. When we get a report, we respond to those reports. We send out, speed limit trackers, and, we do traffic studies to make sure everything is safe, or if it's not safe, what can we do to improve the situation? That's something we're continuing monitoring. We just put cameras on the school buses and enacted a law where we can actually ticket someone from video footage if they pass a red stoplight on a school bus, which is critical, and that's a huge issue that a lot of people have complained about in the town. I want to see those things continue, and not only continue, but I would be interested to hear more from our residents about what more we can be doing. I know we talked also about the schools and public safety in the schools, and we need to be very closely working with our school resource officers and making sure that they're getting what they need to perform their jobs in the best way possible.
Thank you. Mr. Kirkham?
So I also do believe that funding our department properly is like one of the key components, and I'm proud to say that we continue to do that. We have the finest police force here in Glenville, and firsthand I witnessed it last night. I was an observer of court, and I can tell you that the laws are being enforced, okay? And not only that, but we have provided funding as a town board for new body cam for the officers. So that's an enhancement for public safety as well. We currently have 2 SROs, which are school officers, one in Burnt Hills and one in Scotia. And I would just like to piggyback on Amanda's comment about the school buses as well. We did pass that legislation, and now there will be cameras installed, and people can be ticketed, which is a major concern for children getting off a bus and crossing a road. So I'm proud to say that that legislation was passed by this board.
Thank you. And now to the next question, and Mr. Simone will be our first answerer. Glenville and Scotia is a big area with many communities. What will you do to make us more cohesive?
Oktoberfest. Seriously, doing community events like the Oktoberfest, bring 10,000 people together in one location. We have Flag Day parade to the north, we have Memorial Day parades to the south, and we have everything in between. We have sports, we have clubs, amusements. That's one thing this town has. If you are a young person, for example, you have something to do. If you are a middle-aged person, you have something to do. If you are a senior citizen, you have something to do. This town and Scotia together provide a lot of services to everyone in this community through the parks, through entertainment. We have it.
Thank you. Mr. Aragosa.
Well, one of the things I'd like to see happen is the town board meetings go to the different parts of the town, kind of in a rotation. Maybe we have a meeting up in West Glenville, we have a meeting in the village, that kind of thing. That I think could bring more people out to the meetings themselves, but it also gives each little part of the town makes them feel important for that time. And festivals and events are great. They do bring out a lot of people. They do bring out, bring people together, which is important. Oktoberfest particularly is a great event. It's an event where everybody comes and just has a great time. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Barone.
I think the key to making sure that we have a cohesive community between Scotia, Glenville, and within Glenville, all parts of Glenville, is making sure we have a geographically diverse board. We need representation from all of these little communities because they're all different, and they all have different needs and different wants and ideas on how things should happen in their community, and we need to make sure that we have people who represent all the nuances that makes Glenville, Glenville, and that includes Scotia. I say that as a Scotia resident who can see that firsthand. I know Mr. Kirkham is a West Glenville resident, so he brings that unique perspective as well. So I think the best way to create cohesiveness is ensuring that every part of the town is represented in your government.
Thank you, Mrs. Barone. Mr. Kirkham.
I would agree. Festivals and events are wonderful, but I would also want to say that cohesiveness starts with communication. And I really think that that has really begun to be established between the new mayor and our supervisor. And I'm very proud to be part of this board that is going to continue to foster that relationship to grow more and more. And I believe that also our parks, if you look at Scotia parks and you look at Glenville parks, there's already this natural cohesiveness of the residents' quality of life, being able to take part in all of the good things. Our senior center has wonderful enhancements for all of our community, for Glenville and for Scotia. So I think that these are wonderful ways to create cohesiveness, and we are committed as a board to continue investing in these areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Santiago.
I actually spoke about this in a video I did with Michelle Osterlich called The Green Tour, and we were down at Malwick Park and talking about how we do have such great parks here in Scotia and Glenville. So my thing is, community events. That's how I get out and get involved. And what's better than bringing families together at these events? So I would like to see, helping organize more events that can go on in different parts of Glenville and Scotia. And that's about it.
Thank you. This next round will begin with Mr. Aragosa. Do you support taxpayer funding for relocation of migrants, asylum seekers, non-citizens?
So, I support, they're here. We need to do next is get them, get them vetted. If they're already vetted, then we need to get them to a position where they can start working, start making money, start paying into the system themselves. Everywhere you go in town, you see a sign in the restaurants that we need a dishwasher, we need, roofers need roofers, carpenters don't have enough help. So if they're here, let's put them to work, and then they're no longer a drain on the system. That's my take.
Thank you. Mrs. Barone.
I think it's easy to label this as an immigration issue. On a local level, it's not. We don't have the power in the town to affect immigration laws directly. What this is a humanitarian issue. And people are being shipped from place to place like cattle with no connection to meaningful resources, and our communities are receiving no communication or resources from the state or federal governments in order to help them. For example, I'm a small business owner, and as much as I might want to employ a migrant person, I legally can't. The IRS will be on my back for that. So I need to make sure that I am protected, and also what's happening to these people who are looking for jobs. They can't get work either. What is their quality of life going to be? They are not having resources. So what we need to do is look at this system as being fundamentally broken from the top. The migrant people suffer, the communities suffer. This is a lose-lose situation for everyone involved. At the town level, we don't have the tools or authority to fix it directly. And when we ask those higher up who do, we get nothing. So we need to hold them accountable to create meaningful policy, to actually communicate with us and create a plan. Thank you.
Mr. Kirkham.
So what I would also say, no matter how you label them, asylum seekers, migrants, immigrants, I agree, it's a lose-lose. I think it's a terribly humanitarian crisis. I do believe that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among them are the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. I truly believe that. But the federal government has not given us clear, concise solutions on this situation, and I believe that's where it has to start. Mayor Adams himself stated that it would cost New York City, get this, $12 billion, and he doesn't know how to deal with this crisis. So what does he want to do? So I think we need answers. We don't know how to deal with this when we're going to be inundated with our schools. And he said this is from the mayor, he said every service in the city will be tasked. So I think we need answers from the federal government. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Santiago.
I agree with everybody. I mean, it's, all I can think about is, what these people must think and why they must be leaving, where they're leaving, and then so grateful for being here. I agree that we need to get them out working as soon as we possibly can, so they can make returns into the community and the revenue in the communities. To make the change and the strive to come here and not be welcomed, quite possibly, is also heartbreaking to me. So.
Thank you. Mr. Simone.
Ms. Barone and Mr. Kirkham kind of hit the nail on the head. And I don't have much more to offer other than this is not an issue that we should have to deal with. We're the town of Glenville. We're not even New York City. We're not Rochester. We're not Buffalo. We're not the state of New York. We're not Washington, D.C. I can't think of where we could house immigrants right now. I don't see how the town could support housing immigrants right now. It is a tough issue. We did not make it ourselves, but we're being imposed with this burden if it comes this way. So I'm on board with Schenectady County right now that is declared as an emergency. And I think that's where we're at right now. And if it goes further, I hope Schenectady County will step in and assist the town of Glenville.
Thank you. The next question, how would you promote composting in our town for both business and homes? How's that for a change of topic? And we'll begin with Mrs. Barone.
I have and will continue to support any green energy initiatives or environmentally sound initiatives in the village and town too. See, I'm a village resident, this village comes out. There are plentiful opportunities that we have in our community for people who are interested in this. I think the best way we can do is get our residents involved. There are some great initiatives that have started from the ground up with our residents forming committees, clubs, educating each other in how to do this. And I'd love for our town hall to be able to foster an initiative like that where we can actually get our residents involved in this process and also extend it out to our business owners and our small businesses, maybe provide some incentives. I know that we can work with the county and the state to see if there are opportunities available to incentivize this for our commercial business owners as well.
Thank you. Mr. Kirkham.
I certainly, I think the county does a really nice job with this at their soil and water facility. I think that composting happens there, and there are many tools or things available to our residents at a very low cost, which can be an enhancement for rural communities and people locally as well. Firsthand experience from the highway department, all of those wonderful leaves that we pick up from you, we compost, believe it or not. We compost those and we turn them into topsoil. And in return, we do get some free topsoil to take care of any type of lawn damage or things that might occur. So I'm for any effort that we can continue to do with green initiatives. So thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Santiago.
I'm a composter myself, but I do agree. Any changes we can make, going green and sharing, the space. We do have all these great parks. Maybe there's areas that we can build some community composting areas. And again, if it can be turned into something useful that can take away some expenditures from our budgets, then that's great.
Thank you. Mr. Simone?
Well, I compost already, but not the way y'all thinking. Have a camp, have an outhouse. But how would we do it here? I think, as Mr. Kirkham said, the county does a wonderful job already, and our town highway department also does a wonderful job. But I think and I see my neighbors doing it all the time, and they have the raised bed farms, etc. I think anywhere we can enhance it would be in education, such as partnering up with school districts. I know Burnt Hills has an agriculture class as an elective, and that works. 4-H, that would work. So any kind of interaction with 4-H, scouts, etc., I think at a local level would enhance these green initiatives.
Thank you. Mr. Aragosa?
Could you just read the question one more time?
How would you promote composting in our town for both businesses and homes?
Yeah, so to me, the question is pretty much already answered by what's happening with the town itself doing the leaves, like Bob said. Most people who have any type of desire to be involved in doing that, they are doing it in their own backyards. I have a huge pile, as opposed to putting it in bags and taking it out front. I pile it in my backyard and I have my own topsoil that I've made over the years. I also believe that the county does a wonderful job with it at their facility. I frequent their facility for dirt and different things that I need when I'm working on projects. Lastly, I would say the town, when I was on the board, there was some discussion of a community garden project over near the dog park, which kind of fell apart, and I'd like to see that get picked up again.
Thank you. Our next question, what does environmental sustainability mean to you? Do you believe it's important that our town work toward being more sustainable? Why and why not? And how would you go about achieving this? Oh, Mr. Kirkham.
Environmental sustainability.
Yes.
All right, we've had composting and now this. That's,
Yeah.
All right, so, you know, I mean, as a town and as a West Glenville resident, I certainly believe that, you know, our open space plan has put things in place that really preserves the green space. When you look at our investment in parks and the things that we are committed to staying invested in, Sanders Preserve, for example. So I think if this is the direction that they're heading and how we preserve this type of rural environment, our investment is to continue that and not allow overbuilding in these areas.
Thank you. Mrs. Santiago. Yes. What does environmental sustainability mean to you? Do you believe it's important that our town work toward being more sustainable? And the other part was, and how would you go about achieving this? It's a really long question.
Okay. Yeah, sustainability. So, yeah, being able to enjoy our green space that we have, you know, our, if it requires, I'm sorry, read the question again?
What does environmental sustainability mean to you? And do you believe it's important that our town work toward being more sustainable?
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, that's the wave of the future, you know, really going green, reducing plastic, reducing waste. So again, going back to, you know, all our great space that we do have, I'd like to, you know, continue seeing that growing and not taking away from that.
Thank you. Mr. Simon?
It's critically important to have environmental self-sustainability in your community because our borders are not expanding. You know, we're not Putin invading Amsterdam or Galway. I've been on the Planning and Zoning Commission for, about a dozen years. And, you know, this is our zoning map. And this is really where it starts. And you'll see green, off green. We have land conservation. We have public park lands. This is where it begins, with smart zoning followed up by development that is enforced and overseen by the Planning and Zoning Commission and by code enforcement. We have parks that have been growing since I've been here. These parks serve my children well. I coach Little League at these parks. I think Glenville is doing a wonderful thing with our environment. I think they're more and more sustainable. We're having a mix of housing and apartments, et cetera, to meet all the needs of the various people in the various stages of life.
Thank you. Mr. Aragosa?
Yeah, smart development is very important to it, and we have been in the town of Glenville very good with that. Our parks, our green spaces, our the preserves that we have, not growing into areas where we shouldn't grow into. But that's that part of it. But the other part of sustainability to me is talking about our buildings and the energy that we use, the types of energy that we use, water bottles. Should we maybe have drinking stations in the buildings as opposed to water bottles? I know if you go through Union College and there's everywhere drinking station. You fill your refillable bottle, refillable glass, as opposed to buying a thing like this. Another thing is litter.
Thank you.
Litter. Oh, I'm sorry.
Mrs. Barone?
To me, sustainability means finding balance because by our very nature, our modern society is designed to be at odds with the environment right now. I mean, we're still dependent on fossil fuels and we probably will be for a very long time. So I would, my suggestions for maintaining that sustainability would be to reduce our environmental footprint, preserving our green spaces as we do in town, and we value our parks and we put a lot of investments into our parks and our green spaces. Responsible development, both commercial and residential, and also looking for any opportunities to implement green initiatives where we can. I think if we do those things, we can substantially reduce our footprint and make strides towards that level of sustainability that we need.
Thank you. I don't have time to sneak in another question. For those of you whose questions have not been answered, feel free to speak with the candidates afterwards. We will begin with closing statements, beginning with Mr. Aragosa. And you have 1 minute.
So, for my closing statement, I'm going to read a part of a letter from one of the League of Women Voters wrote to the Gazette. It is only in local elections that our single vote has clout. A vote for president is consequential only in the aggregate. The possibility of a single or several votes being the deciding factor in a nationwide contest is infinitesimal. But this can and does happen in local races. The point is, please folks, get your friends, talk to your friends, get them out to vote. This particular election this year there's very little excitement to get people out to vote because we're talking about a few legislative candidates, some council candidates, and everything else is pretty much already decided because there's no. I got the stop signal.
Thank you. Mrs. Barone?
As I visit my neighbors door to door and speak with them, it's amazing to hear how many people are happy with the life they have in our town, and it can only continue to get better. Myself and my team of Kurt Simone and Bob Kirkham are committed to keeping the progress going. Not only that, but we represent a combination of viewpoints that don't necessarily always align, but we respect each other, we listen, and we know how to work together for the greater good. We also represent the geographic diversity of our town. From the northern region to the west, to the village, Glenville is uniquely nuanced in its areas with varying needs, and it's important that each area is represented on the board. This is the team that will keep Glenville moving forward in every way possible. Please vote Simone, Barone, and Kirkham on November 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kirkham.
Thank you, everyone, for this opportunity to address this community in which I serve. I believe your choice is quite clear for leadership in the town. I have witnessed and participated firsthand in the progress that has been made in our town. I will continue my commitment to invest in the town's infrastructure and sensible development. In our business areas, agricultural and tourism, our parks and recreation, and enhancements for our seniors and veterans. These areas are what makes Glenville a desired community for all residents and visitors. Because of my commitment, experience, and knowledge, I am excited to continue to serve as your town board member to ensure the current and future investments meet the needs of our community for generations to come. Let's keep the progress going and voting for our team. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Santiago.
Thank you again to everyone for coming, the League of Women Voters, and the Democratic Committee for nominating me. I was presented with this opportunity, and although times my confidence might seem, it might sway, I know my worth. I organize and plan and work well with others to get things accomplished. I love our community, and I love working closely with our service departments. I enjoy putting on events that bring families together and showcase what our village and our town have to offer. I'm running for town council to be a voice for others who also feel the same way. I feel the town board is best serving their community if they are representative of all their constituents.
I got flustered also.
Mr. Simone.
Margaret and I love this town. The town has proven itself to be able to provide great services, balanced budgets, and sound debt reduction. Glenville offered us all we needed to raise, educate, recreate, and protect our children. As I transition to retirement, I will not retire from Scotia Glenville, but will increase my endeavors on behalf of those who receive and those who deliver services. My door is open to all, the voters and taxpayers at home and the hired crews on the road. Our police officers will never be defunded. I salute them and all our first responders who place themselves at risk every day. And our hired crews are in my thoughts every time I'm at home during a winter blizzard. I have 44 years of hourly salary, union, non-union experience, and I've experienced the horror of a layoff. I successfully negotiated labor and vendor contracts. I ask for your vote and for my team so that we may further serve everyone in Scotia Glenville by bringing an optimistic and holistic effort to continue the positive development here, and because I love this town.
Thank you. On behalf of the League of Women Voters, I thank all of you for coming to listen to our candidates. And I thank our candidates for taking time out from your busy schedule to be here to share your thoughts and opinions. New York State will have early voting at the following locations: the Honorable Karen B. Johnson Library, Schenectady, South Schenectady Fire Station, Glenville Senior Center, and Nispuna Town Hall. All voters may vote at any of the early voting locations in Schenectady County. Early voting will take place between October 28 and November 5. And election day is November 7th. And more information, in case you can't keep track of all those places and dates, are on the table outside. Absentee ballots are available for this election. Voters may submit an application for an absentee ballot with the Board of Elections by mail, postmarked no later than Tuesday, October 23rd, or in person no later than November 6th. Absentee ballots must be received by the Board of Elections by November 7th. Thank you all very much for your time, your attention, your commitment to service, and please remember to vote and drive carefully.